Welcome to this explainer. Okay, so if you're feeling completely overwhelmed by the sheer number of smartphones out there right now, and honestly, who isn't, you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're going to completely demystify this whole buying process and help you navigate the utter chaos of choosing a new phone in 2026.
So, why is buying a phone so agonizingly hard in 2026? Look, your frustration is completely valid. Literally every manufacturer is screaming at you about their fastest AI chips or their unbeatable cameras. And it's all wrapped up in this aggressive marketing jargon that tells you absolutely nothing about how the phone actually performs in the real world, right? It's kind of designed to confuse you into spending more money.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for today. We're breaking this down into a really simple 5-step blueprint. Escaping the marketing hype, matching phones to your life, decoding the spec sheet, the ultimate value hack, and finally, crucial but overlooked details. Let's get to it.
Step 1. Escaping the marketing hype. And that starts with choosing your budget first before you even look at a single brand.
Setting a strict financial boundary is really your first line of defense here. By just picking a budget lane, you instantly narrow down hundreds of choices to just a handful that actually fit your wallet. So, looking at the low end, the $150 to $350 budget tier is honestly excellent for the basics. Texts, social media, maybe some light gaming, and you'll get about 1 to 2 years of software support. Now, right in the middle, $350 to $700 gets you a fantastic daily experience and 3 to 4 years of support. And then up at the top, that $700 to $1,200 plus range, that buys you the premium materials, the pro-level cameras, and about 5 to 7 years of update.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is this 80 to 90% sweet spot. If you're ever in doubt, aiming for that mid-range category gives you 80 to 90% of a flagship phone's capabilities, but for literally half the price. I mean, it is absolutely the sweet spot for both your finances and your daily experience.
Moving on to step 2, match phones to your life. This is all about looking at your actual usage patterns.
Because listen, all those dazzling technical details they advertise, they are completely useless if they don't align with how you actually use your device every single day. So for all the photographers out there, we really need to bust the megapixel myth right now. The marketing hype is absolutely going to try to sell you a 200 megapixel sensor with tiny little pixels, but the real world winner is actually a 50 megapixel sensor with big pixels. Those larger pixels act like bigger buckets for light, capturing way more of it, which gives you vastly superior photos, especially when you're shooting in the dark. So definitely don't be fooled by the bigger number.
And the same kind of logic applies to your battery. So the crucial point is that battery capacity isn't everything. You might see a massive 5,500 milliamp hour battery and think, oh, that's the best option. But if it's paired with a less efficient, power-hungry processor, it's going to drain incredibly fast. Actually, a smaller 4,500 milliamp hour battery that's paired with a highly efficient processor will easily outlast it. You always want to rely on independent tests of real-world battery life rather than just blindly trusting the battery size printed on the box.
Now, if you're someone who keeps their phone for 4 or more years, pay really close attention to this next part. Guaranteed software updates for 5 years will keep your phone feeling modern, secure, and fully functional much longer than if you just buy slightly better raw hardware today that only gives you 2 measly years of OS updates. For long-term users, the duration of software support actually beats out raw performance specs every single time.
All right, step 3, decoding the spec sheet. Let's make sense of those numbers. It's time to finally cut through that confusing tech jargon and translate the spec sheet into everyday language that you can actually use. Let's rapidly fire through these to kind of relieve some of that spec sheet anxiety. First up, the processor. Look, it doesn't need to be brand new. A chip that's 1 or 2 generations old is plenty fast for non-gamers. Then there's RAM, which handles all your multitasking. 6 to 8 gigabytes is absolutely perfect for most of us, while 12 gigs or more is really only necessary for the heavy gamers. As for storage, 128 gigabytes is the bare minimum in 2026, but honestly, 256 gigs is way safer if you aren't heavily using cloud storage. And finally, 5G bands. Not all 5G phones have the exact same bands, so it's totally crucial to check that the phone actually supports the specific bands for your carrier, especially if you plan to travel abroad. Now, I do want to highlight something very specific here, and that's refresh rate. This is a display setting, usually 90 Hz or 120 Hz, that provides a noticeably smoother experience during scrolling and animations. Honestly, this is one of the most undervalued but universally useful upgrades you can get. It's a total game changer. It makes literally any phone feel instantly faster and way more premium in your hand, even if the processor isn't the absolute top of the line.
Okay, moving on to step 4, the ultimate value hack.
This is genuinely a brilliant industry secret for getting premium features while staying on a tight budget. And this brilliantly illustrates how you can see a massive 20 to 35% price drop simply by purchasing last year's flagship model instead of today's brand new release. The financial savings are huge, but the actual sacrifices you're making, they're practically non-existent.
Just think about the logic here for a second. Last year's flagship still retains about 90 to 95% of this year's top-tier performance. Plus, because those flagship models get such long software support out of the gate, you still easily have 2 to 4 years of remaining updates. You can also look at certified refurbished options to drive that price down even further. But just a quick aside, a little warning here, only ever trust refurbished devices that are actually certified and come with a solid warranty. If it doesn't have a warranty, just walk away.
And that brings us to step 5, crucial but overlooked details.
We're in the final stretch now, folks. We're looking at the fine print the manufacturers just love to bury at the absolute bottom of the spec page, even though they can dramatically impact your experience. First up is the IP68 rating. This is the standard rating that provides real, certified water resistance protection for your device. I have to strongly warn you about this. Anything lower than IP68, or a phone with no rating at all, means you need to be extremely cautious around water. Like a light splash might be okay, but a drop in the sink? Yeah, that could literally be game over for your investment.
Let's rapidly run through a few more of these final gotchas. Repairability. Before you hit that buy button, check the cost to replace screens and batteries later on. Some companies make it cheap and straightforward, while others make it an absolute costly nightmare. Next up, charging accessories. Believe it or not, fast chargers are very often excluded from the box nowadays, so you really need to factor the price of that accessory into your overall budget. And finally, ecosystem lock-in. If your laptop, your tablet, and your smartwatch are all from the same brand, staying within that ecosystem, like Apple or Samsung, offers this really seamless integration. You'll never see it listed on a spec sheet, but it matters a whole lot for how smoothly your devices actually work together.
Let's move to and see how this builds into our ultimate stress-free decision checklist. Number 1, choose your budget and always compare last year's flagship against this year's mid-range phone. Number 2, pick your top 1 or 2 lifestyle priorities, whether that's the camera, the battery life, or long-term longevity. Number 3, verify the software update lifespans for those specific models. Number 4, base your decisions on real-world battery and camera tests, not just the marketing spec sheets. And number 5, definitely don't forget to factor in those hidden repair costs and your current tech ecosystem.
We have definitely covered a lot of ground in this explainer today, and hopefully that whole spec sheet looks a lot less intimidating to you now. But I really want to leave you with this final provocative thought. The absolute best smartphone isn't the one with the highest benchmark scores or the biggest marketing budget. It's simply the one that reliably serves your life. So what does this all mean? Well, I have to ask you, which feature will actually matter most to you 3 years from now? Keep that exact answer in mind, and you are going to make the perfect choice for sure. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and hey, happy shopping!